everyone, this is Georgia with Georgia's Crafty Creations, and today, Saturday, October 7th. You guys know what today is? It is World Card Making Day. So as part of a video hop with Maymay Made Its Design team, we're all going to make cards with the theme of thankful, grateful, and blessed, and the challenge was not to make an A2 size card. So I came up with this little card. It's a medium square card. It's 4 3/4 inches square finished. But I did it more simply because I'm more going to show you a technique I use for making my mat and my top piece. I wanted to see if you could do a card with nice colors if all you had is white cardstock. Now most of us have plenty paper, but you might be somewhere and need to make a card in a hurry. If you have ink and cardstock, you can do it. So let me show you what we're going to use to make this card. We're using the Blessings stamp set from Maymay Made It. We're going to use the 3 leaves, the smaller leaves, and we're going to use the Give Thanks and with the Grateful Heart. And once again, I always put all my stamps on a block to the side so they're handy when we're ready to use them. The other thing we're going to be using for our ink, we're going to use 3 different ink pads. And I'm using Dewdrop inks. This is the Snow Cone set. You can find this at Maymay Made It. We're going to be using Morroco, Peanut Brittle, and Pistachio. Those are the 3 we're going to use. Now for our card. Oh, we're also going to make an envelope to go with the card. I'll show you that in a little bit. Now for our card, you're going to need a piece of cardstock. Cut it 9.5 by 4 3/4 and score it at 4 3/4. We're going to set that aside for a little bit. You're also going to need 2 squares that are 4 5/8 inch square. You're going to need 2 squares that are 4 1/4 inch square. Then you're going to need a piece that is 7/8 by 2 inches, which is the smaller one, and then you're going to need a piece that is 1 3/4 by 5/8, and those 2 we're going to set aside for a while too. And then for your envelope, you just need an 8-inch square piece of paper. That will be the last thing we'll do, so we're going to set that aside. Okay, so we're going to take our 2 4 and 5-inch squares first. Let me grab a piece of scrap paper, and we're going to take our 3 ink pads. Again, it's Pistachio, Morroco, and Peanut Brittle. We're going to open all of these up, and we're going to start with our Morroco. And what we're going to do is we're going to just take and lightly stamp as we turn the card with the Morroco. Now you can use whatever colors you like, but these 3, when they're put together, makes a nice fall background. Okay, we're going to grab our other one. We're going to do the same thing with it. And you just judge how far in your mat's going to be, your top mat, and make sure you have this in far enough, which I usually go about 1 inch or so in. And I'll just stamp it all the way around. Okay, and then we're going to take next, we're going to take our Pistachio. We're going to do the same thing, except we're not going to do every spot. We're just going to do them intermittently. Because you don't want to fully cover up the Morroco. Okay, and then we're going, let's do our other one. Do the same thing. Okay, and then we're going to take our Peanut Brittle. And I'm just going to reverse direction here. It doesn't really matter. There. And that makes a really nice background for your card. I'll do this one. And that is how quick and easy it is to make a mat to go behind the top layer of your card. So we're going to set those 2 aside, and I'm going to grab one of my 4 1/4 inch squares. Now this one we're going to just make an all over background using our leaves. So I'm going to bring our leaves over here. And I'm going to take one ink at a time, and I'm going to just pick one of my leaves first. We'll start with the maple leaf. And we're just going to start stamping this all over the card. And it doesn't have to be a clean stamp because you're going to be layering. It's up to you. But I'm going to go do a round with red. Get some even coming off the card. And then Morroco. I keep calling it red. It's Morroco. Then we're going to take our pistachio. And I don't clean the stamp in between because I don't mind if the colors meld together on this. And we're just going to keep stamping with this. And then we're going to take the peanut brittle and do the same thing. Whoops. Got my finger in the peanut brittle there. And once we do enough with that stamp, I'm going to put that one over. I'm going to grab our next leaf and we're going to do the same thing. This time I'll start with the peanut brittle. Okay, then we're going to go to our Morroco. You want to start filling in some of the places where there's white spots. Then I'm going to grab the pistachio. And then you're just going to keep stamping and stamping until you fill this paper up. But we're going to switch to our last little leaf here. That looks good. Grab our last little leaf and we're going to start with it. Now this is where you really want to start filling in the white spots. Put some green in the middle. Pistachio in the middle. Okay, that I think is enough on the pistachio, so I'm going to cap that one off. Grab our Morroco. And then we're going to finish off with the peanut brittle. And here we're going to just start looking for white spaces and filling in those white spaces. A little bit right over there. And I think that looks pretty good. We're going to stop with that. And then I'm going to take my pistachio and I'm just going to run an edge around to give it a dark edge. And there we have the top map for our card. So now we're going to start assembling it. I also have a piece of 5-inch ribbon that we're going to use to put onto this piece. Now I like to put my ribbon on with a strong double-sided tape just so it stays in place. I set that there. So I'm going to put a piece of ribbon or piece of tape onto my ribbon. There we go. We're going to peel that off. Now to get my ribbon straight and where I want it, first I got to get the tape to stick. It's being stubborn. Try the other end. There we go. What I do is I'll land my card up to where it's right on the line. And then I'll pick where I want it, which is probably going to be at this inch mark. And I will take my ribbon and lay it across and match up that line on my mat. And put my ribbon on. And then I'm just going to fold the edges back. And then we're going to go ahead and mount this piece onto our back mat. And I'm going to just use double-sided tape for this. And I'm a person that likes lots of tape on my cards. I do not like them to go where I don't want them to go. So we're going to move our ink for a moment. And go ahead and get that put on. That looks good. And then we're going to go ahead and put this onto our card base. There we go. We're going to set that aside for a moment. And then we're going to take our other piece of white. This is the 4 1/4 inch square. And I'm going to use my Misty to stamp this because I might want to stamp it twice. And what I did, I just went ahead and left my stamp in where I knew it was already lined up, so we wouldn't have to line it up again. If you're making multiple cards, you can do that. And I like the Morroco color for my sentiment. So we're going to go ahead and I'm going to ink up my stamp. Actually, that looks pretty good. I think we're going to go with that. And then for this piece, I'm going to grab my piece of scrap again. I'm going to take my 3 leaves and put them all, better wipe my ink pad off first, or ink block off. I'm going to put all 3 of my leaves onto my ink block this time. I want them spread out just a little bit more. And this time I'm going to take all 3 of my inks and I'm going to do my stamps in all 3 of the inks. I might do a little red, little green, little of the gold, or peanut brittle, and it's Morroco. I keep calling my Morroco red. And then we're going to take this and just stamp it, and it can come off the page. I'm going to stamp it once in this corner. I'm going to ink up again. And I'm just randomly doing the ink so you get all 3 of the colors. I'm going to stamp it at the bottom of the page. And sometimes you might get one color shining through more than the other, but it's still okay because they all complement each other. And I'm going to do this at each corner, just so you got some falling leaves on the inside of the card also. Now if you want, you can also fill in, but with this one I think I like it like that, so we're going to stop with it right there. And go ahead and take the leaves off my ink pad. Ink block. This is an ink block. I keep calling it my ink pad. Okay, now we're done with the peanut brittle and the pistachio, so I'm going to set those aside. And I'm going to grab that little piece, and we can move this out of the way now. We're done with that. And we're going to grab our Give Thanks stamp. Now this you're just going to want to stamp right on that paper. Now sometimes I will stamp this and then cut my paper just so I know it's straight. But we're going to go ahead and try it here. And that looks good. So we're done with that one. Now the last thing you want to do with your ink, which I almost forgot, is you're going to take this other small piece that goes behind your Give Thanks, and you're just going to do that little airy motion around on this too. You can do it in one color or all three, but we're going to do all three because I like all three. I'm going to do the red, then we're going to do a little of the gold, peanut brittle, and then we're going to do the pistachio. And then I'm going to take my pistachio and go around my Give Thanks. And I'm also going to take my pistachio and go around my inside mat. Now we can finish assembling our card. I'm going to take my Give Thanks, and we're going to just do a little piece of tape onto that and put it right in the center of that mat. And then we're going to take this and put it onto this mat. It's our inside sentiment. I love doing inside sentiments because it just really finishes out a card really nice. And this card would be nice to give to someone you really care about, just as a just because card. You could give it someone to a good friend for their birthday who you're really thankful to have in your life. Or you could give it as a card to a hostess if you're going somewhere for Thanksgiving or another event. Then we're going to put this mat on the inside of our card. And there we have that one. And then the last thing we're going to do for our card is I'm going to get a foam square. And I have some long ones, so we're just going to use one long one on this. And then we're going to set that right on there. And then the last thing for the card, I have these cute little like amber colored butterflies. We're going to just put one little butterfly right in the corner. And there you have a nice card with a nice colorful background, and all you used was white cardstock. So now let's make our envelope. Now I am going to use the envelope punch board for this. And I'm just looking for what I did with my 8-inch square of paper. Okay, now we're going to make our envelope, and I have an 8-inch piece of paper, and you're going to do it your first punch at the 4-inch mark right here. So I'm going to have to turn this around because I cannot score it upside down. That would be not easy to do. So we're just going to go ahead, we're going to put that at 4, we're going to punch and score it. And then you're going to line up your line with this, you're going to punch again. And just do that all the way around. And then I'm going to take it to the other side and we're going to do the corner rounder. Okay, now we can put that aside. Get these little beebles out of the way. And before I fold this, we're going to take our 3 small leaves again. And once again, what I'm going to do is just line them up. Just line them up on my block. And I'm going to get all 3 inks because I want this part to have all 3 colors. And I'm just going to get ink from each one of them. Make sure they all have ink. And I'm just going to take this and stamp in whichever corner I want to be the bottom of my envelope. And I think I want that right here. I'm going to press down on this really well because I want to make sure and get nice impressions there. Oh, I like that. So that's going to be the bottom. So this is going to be our flap for our envelope. So I want to take and do the same thing on my flap. I'm going to get all 3 inks. And we're going to just press them on. And I didn't get all of that leaf, but I'm okay with it. We're going to leave it. So just cover up my inks. I'm going to set those aside. And I'm going to fold this in. We're going to score it really well. And I'm going to make sure where the bottom is. And then I'm going to use my double-sided tape again. Fold that over. Then we're going to fold our flap down. And there we have the nice envelope that matches our card. So I hope you like this video. If you like the technique, like and subscribe below. And remember to go over to MaymayMadeIt.com onto the blog and see what other videos are on today and watch everybody's video for inspiration. So happy card making, everybody.